Well, let's go back now to our earlier conversation and speaking to someone who's been through this herself, gender-based violence, but also talking about how you survive it and how you rebuild yourself. It's a very important conversation to actually have. Adetola Bakinson is a poet and survivor. Adetola, good afternoon to you. You went on your own journey, you went through great difficulty. When did you realize that what was happening to you was so wrong?
Well, I think I've always known about this for a very long time, that this is not something that is right. But I was ashamed because of what the society would say, because of the societal narrative where we tend to judge the victim as opposed to the person that actually, the actual perpetrator. I think that for me, in 2018, I was to speak at a women's conference, and one of the guest speakers came out to tell a story about how she has been raped multiple times by different people. And it dawned on me, that was my epiphany, because her storytelling actually gave me the confidence to start telling my story. In the past, I'd been telling my story behind my poetry and hiding behind it, actually. And another thing that dawned on me is that because you've been abused does not mean that you're a weakling. I mean, I was raised by strong women, and it still didn't stop the abuse from getting to me. So that was what made me decide to tell my story, to tell another woman out there that you might be a strong, articulate woman. It doesn't mean that you are exempted from the abuse. And there are many people that don't even understand what abuse is. They don't even get what is happening to them. So that is why I've decided to tell my story, to heal somebody, to tell somebody that it's okay to ask for help, because I'm a survivor. I'm still standing, and they can do the same.
How big is that problem, that people don't always know that what's happening to them is wrong, that it actually is abuse?
Well, I'll give you an example. A friend of mine in the United States actually said to me that she was in an abusive marriage, and the first 2 years, she didn't realize she was being abused. Do you know why? Because her father is the subtle version of her husband. The difference between her father and her husband is that her father did not hit her mother physically, but he abused the mother emotionally. And in the name of submission, her mother didn't fight it. So to her, that's the narrative that she knows. That's what she understands. And that's what she took to her marriage. And she thought it was okay for a man to treat her exactly the same way her father has treated her mother. So she wasn't aware of it. I mean, like they say, education is the key to emancipation. What you don't know, you don't know. And she didn't know that she was being abused.
Education is so important, but the strength as well. It's very hard to move on from a relationship or to leave a marriage in a situation like that. It's a very hard thing to do.
Come again?
It's a very hard thing to do, to actually leave a relationship or leave a marriage like that.
Yes. I was in a marriage like that, and it was very hard, but it really messed with my mental state of mind. And I was torn between, what if I made a mistake? What if I was wrong? What if people say that I'm not patient enough? I mean, we have the spiritual factor where you are being told, I'm a Christian, where you are being told that you need to be patient and you need to pray for these people. And then you have the societal part where you don't want to be mocked, because if you leave, and then you have the financial factor as well, because the moment you leave, there is no guarantee that you are going to get financial support to care for these children. So there's a lot of things that, that adds to this thing. It was very hard for me to leave. But let me tell you something. Let me tell you why I left. I've got a 4-year-old set of twins, a boy and a girl. I told myself one day, do I want my son to live in this environment and treat another woman's child exactly the way I am being treated? Do I want my daughter to settle for less? And both answers were no. So I decided enough is enough, and I'm doing this. And I can tell you one thing, it was not easy for me to do. I was scared. I didn't know if I was doing the right thing, but I just knew that I didn't want to be in an environment where I had to take high blood pressure, where I had to live in fear, where I didn't have a stay, where I felt very little of myself. So, yes, it's a difficult thing to leave a marriage. But one thing I need to say is that you need a support system. I will not lie. I had a support system. I had family and friends that rallied around me emotionally, financially, even spiritually, people that prayed for me, people that supported me financially, and people that held my hand emotionally. So it's not easy, but it can be done.
Adetola, I mean, future relationships after the abuse, the scars, the pain, the hurt, that, you know, I mean, we all carry some of it with us, but for people in your situation, for so many people, there's so much of it. How do you stop it from taking over your life entirely? How do you make sure that you're still free to be in other relationships with people?
Okay, you see, the post-traumatic stress disorder from abuse is very deep. I have a project called STAR, and the acronym for STAR is Sore, Torn, and Recovering. Because the truth is, I don't think anybody can really fully recover from abuse, but every year you get better and better and better. That's what happens. So I get triggered a lot. Even sometimes it's not the person's fault. Maybe if you raise your voice or you do something. But you have to understand that you cannot treat everybody as your abuser. You have to give everybody a chance. And the most important thing is that you have to go for counseling. You have to reach out. Throughout last year, I was blessed by one of my mentors who took me through neuroscience and neuro-linguistic counseling, you know, emotional intelligence, when things happen to you, how to react to it. I even went for proper, you know, counseling, therapy. I had to talk about it. I cried in those sessions, you know. Those things are important. If not, even when the right guy comes into your life, you would always see the face of your abuser. So I would tell you something. It is not easy. Sometimes I overreact because I'm scared, because somebody has done something or said something that triggered what had happened to me in the past, and immediately I put up, you know, a defensive guard because I'm thinking, no, I'm not taking this again. And then I realized that, no, this is not it. I'm actually overthinking it. But the truth is, it's actually difficult to forge forward. It's a decision for you to leave your past behind. Don't take the baggage with you and just give life another chance. It doesn't mean that you wouldn't face another kind of abuse, but now the choice is how long are you going to take that for? So for me, if I see any narcissistic trait being thrown at me, I call you out immediately and I get rid of it. So that's it.
Adetola, thank you very much indeed. Adetola Bakinson is a poet and survivor talking to you this afternoon.